Can you take us through what happened last weekend at the GSAC Championships? Talk about your team's performance, top 3 and 5 of the top 8 in the women, and just how you guys performed as a whole.
We were very pleased with that race. The GSAC's obviously a very tough conference, the toughest conference in the NAIA. Biola's been national runner-up 2 years in a row, and we've got 4 of the top 15 teams there in the NAIA. So we knew it was going to be a tough meet. We knew those teams were really going to come after us, and they did. But the girls stepped up to that challenge, and did very, very well. We were very pleased with that performance with a record low score. So it was fun to see.
And then just kind of take us through the season and just did things from where you started and your first trip with the team, your first training. Both the men and the women. How did their the kind of regular season match up with where you figured you'd be at this point?
Right. Well, for the men, it was a young group. We knew things would have to kind of go perfectly to really have a shot at nationals, and they didn't. We had some hiccups along the way. I think we've got a good foundation now for the future and something we can build off of. We've got a lot of really young kids who are talented, though, and it's just learning how to be collegiate runners, and that's still going to be our focus, is just learning how to do that. And once we figure that out, I think we'll be pretty solid, but it's going to take a little bit of time. The women, they were very, very consistent all year. We didn't really have a bad race. We got a good effort every time out, and our whole season, our whole racing schedule is set up to prepare us for nationals. Every meet we go to, we're hoping to gain something out of that that's going to get us ready for nationals, and I think we're able to accomplish that. So I was pleased with how it went. I think we're as prepared as we can be going into next weekend.
Any surprises? Anyone kind of get into your top 5 or your top 7 that that's kind of been a pleasant surprise as far as progress has gone this season?
I mean, I think the huge surprise has been Christy Sikma. We knew she had some talent, but it was pretty raw. She hasn't really competed much for us and ran in high school, but it wasn't really with a serious program or anything like that. But the way she's not only stepped into that top 5, but been consistent, and her toughness along the way has been a huge surprise, and we wouldn't be in the position we're in today if she doesn't do that. So that's been great.
And then looking forward to nationals, is there anything you do differently to prepare your team mentally and physically for what it's going to be like when you guys get out there?
There's nothing we do differently now. Our whole season's about preparing for that race. Everything we do in training, everything we do in competition, that's everything from day one's about getting us ready for nationals. So we don't really switch anything these 2 weeks. We just continue that process on. Training wise, we had a great actually workout today. The ladies looked really, really good. We'll have another harder workout on Thursday, just to kind of put the finishing touches on the training. And then next week's just a little sharpening workouts, and we'll be ready to roll. But nothing's really changed. It's just a continuation of what we've been doing all season.
And day of the race, is there anything going to be different from your runners? Are they going to look at it differently? Maybe some in their last race as a Cougar, some looking to win a national championship. What's it going to be like for them?
It is, as much as you want it to be another race, it is nationals, and there's always some nerves and stuff like that go into it. I think they understand the moment and what's kind of, I guess, at stake for that. But with that, we try to give them as much during the season to kind of prepare them for that. That's one big reason why we went to Stanford, because we were racing better competition at Stanford, honestly, than we're going to see at nationals. That was almost an entirely Division I field. We want them to see races like that, so when they get to nationals, they're not, it's not an intimidating thing like, oh, we've seen this, we've ran against, better competition, and we've done fine with it. So we just do our best to get them in the right spot, and ultimately when those nerves hit and stuff like that, you go back to your training, you go back to what's real, to what you did all season, and you can take comfort in that. I believe that once you get to this point, there's no miracles at nationals. You get out of that race what you put into your training, And so we try to prepare ourselves as well as possible so we don't have to go in hoping for a miracle to get it done. We just got to go do what we've been doing, and we're going to be fine.
And the women's cross country program has been to the nationals, the national race as a team, I think 18 straight years now.
Yep.
Does that make it a little bit easier that they everyone who's on the team with any kind of experience has a nationals race under their belt, and that preparation kind of comes with that program at this point now?
I think it absolutely does. And, you obviously tie this into track and field too. There's the programs are, everybody that does cross does track and field. And, just the history and a legacy of being an Azusa Pacific athlete, especially a track and cross country athlete, with all those trophies in the trophy case, the Brian Clays and Jamie Canterbury's and Aaron Ronos and the great runners that have come through here, I think that does give them confidence. And we really talk about that a lot too. When you put on that uniform, you're carrying on the legacy that those guys had before, that they've established before, and it's their turn in the arena now. But also to take confidence is they don't have to do anything that teams before them haven't done already. They're not blazing any trails. We're just doing what APU teams do. And that's, run well at nationals. That's what we expect. We expect to contend for national championships. That's why they came here. That's, why I want to coach here, because we expect to win. And we expect to do well at this level.
Now you're going into this nationals race as the number 1 ranked team in the NAIA. Have there been any races this year, within the last couple of years, other than nationals, where you've had that pressure of being the number 1, of being the top team coming into it? Have you felt that pressure at the last couple nationals meets of being that top team, and how close is that top group?
Well, in 08 we came in ranked number 2, but we honestly completely believed that we were the best team that year. I don't think there was any doubt in anybody's head. In 09 we came in as a top ranked team, and I think we struggled with it that year. The ranking became more of a burden than anything. I think we learned a lot from that year. Me as a coach learned a lot about how to handle that, that ranking a little bit differently. Honestly, I don't think they're even thinking about that. I think all the pressure's on Cal State San Marcos. They started the season preseason number 1. They've won it the last 2 years. They're the ones who have to worry about the pressure. We just have to go run our race. All the pressure's really on them, and we're not even really thinking about stuff like that.
Recap the season for me. What were your expectations coming into the season, and how did you feel about the team doing so well going into nationals as the top ranked team?
Yeah, I was excited for the season, having it be my senior year. I thought that it would be a great season and that things would go well, but I didn't really know what to expect. I was on a mission trip this summer and took some time off running, which was much needed rest, and God's been faithful in the season, and it's been great from the start. So.
And then individually, last year I think Poppy won the GSAC race. You've got a good team. Jackie's been an individual champion before. It's a team that's got a lot of individual champions, some top performers, and you've won 4 of the 5 races that you've been in this year. What do you think took you to that next level?
I think just putting in hard work, and for me personally, it's been trusting God with my running, and we as a team focus on 4 different aspects: academics, and then treating the team as a family, our walk with God, and then running itself. And I think for me, if I'm walking closely with Christ, those other things are going to fall together. And so that has been what has made my season go as well as it has, is having a good balance and keeping God at the top of that. So
yeah. And then as you go into nationals this week, you've run this course before. You're going in as the top ranked team in the NAIA. Does that add any pressure to you guys for this upcoming race? Does it change your preparation at all for it?
I don't feel like there is extra pressure. I think sometimes in the past we felt some pressure, and we really don't feel that. I think all the girls could say that as a whole. Everyone's really just excited to go and race hard, and we all have high expectations of winning nationals, and that is something that everyone is planning on doing, or at least working towards that goal. But I don't feel like anyone has an extra pressure of, I don't know, we can't do it. I think everyone's pretty confident. So.
Mm-hmm. What's been the most enjoyable part of this whole season so far?
Oh goodness. The most enjoyable part has just been running well and running on such a team, like a team that is just loving towards one another, and to have the girls work really, really hard. I just feel blessed all the time to be on such a great team, and that's been a big part of it, is people being encouraging to each other, not just on the team and not just in running, but life in general. They really, are like my family. And so it's been great having Jamie, now Canterbury, now Winslow, back. She was one of my role models when I was a freshman, and to have her back as an assistant coach has been really encouraging for me since I'm the only senior. So it's been good to have her help too.
Yeah. What kind of a race do you think you have to have individually? What kind of a race does your team have to be able to achieve your goal of winning that national championship?
I think that the girls have to go out and race hard, and I'm planning on doing the same, and I'm going to work hard from the start of the race. And I think that really it's just going to be going out and running really hard. It's a muddy course and it isn't super fast, and so it is good to get out hard. You kind of get swallowed quickly by the race itself if you don't get out hard. So I think just, going from the gun and being ready to put it all out there.
What would you say is the toughest challenge from a preparation standpoint of going from, preparing for the beginning of the season, middle of the season, the GSAC race, to now hoping that you have that best race at nationals? What's the biggest challenge in preparation as you hit these last 2 weeks?
I think it might sound a little bit silly, and I think maybe the girls that like distance running more so than the girls that enjoy track more. But I have a really hard time tapering, and I run really high mileage, and so for me, it's just finding a balance between cutting back a little bit so I feel really fresh for nationals, but not cutting back too much. And so I just have to kind of find a balance to where I'm getting enough rest, but I'm still working hard and doing what feels natural for me.